Welcome to Adult Education and Family Literacy Week and the Command Center, hosted by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. We are back at the Command Center, and welcome everybody. We are here with Shaketta Thomas. Shaketta, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's so great. I'm so glad that you're here. And Shaketta, we've got to spend the last few days together, but we've actually worked together for several years with COABE.
Right.
And you currently serve as Vice President?
Of membership, yes.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us a little about the work you do.
Okay. Well, I have been in correctional education for 18 years now. Oh my gosh. When I start thinking about the years, I'm like, oh, wow. For 18 years now is really a passion of what I do. Overall, now in the position that I serve, I am responsible for a lot of the assessments and seeing how our students are being prepared to be successful on their high school equivalency. But as you know, assessments is a little bit of a challenge right now. But that is what I do.
Yeah, so I love it. One of the there's a lot of issues that we're going to talk about today, but we're here celebrating and recognizing Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, and the truth is there's a large population of men and women that are justice impacted, that are not just behind the walls of our prisons and jails, but also when they come home, that are often they're forgotten when it comes to education. And I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of your perspective of what you're seeing in the field and what's happening behind the walls across the country.
Yeah, so a lot of our ladies and gentlemen are released and they still have not earned their credential, right, while incarcerated. And there's a lot of things that they must get in place: secure housing, try to secure jobs, secure transportation, and more than often take care of their families. So what becomes, what they want to achieve is not what they're able to achieve with all of the adult responsibilities that they have in their lives. And one of those main things is to further their education and also be able to find places to go and improve their workplace skills so that they can get sustainable jobs and be able to provide for their families. So it's like a push-pull struggle of trying to do the right thing, take care of your families, find sustainable wages, but then you need those credentials because we live in a credential-stacked society, right? So it is something that we find a lot of times that our students face upon re-entering and not being able to just grasp or access opportunities.
Yeah, so you've been in the field for so long. And we talked about this last night, actually, at dinner. 18 years is a long time to be in this field. And so you must have seen some changes. And I'm curious, where do you see, in what direction are we going, and are they positive?
Yes and no in a lot of ways, right? I do believe that the focus on reentry is one of the most positive changes that we have made in corrections. We've kind of moved away from the lockdown and throw away the key mentality to actually preparing people to be successful in society. So I am very grateful for that. But we are still slowly moving that pendulum. And one of the things, when we talk about literacy, many people, still corrections minded, are only thinking about the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? To be functional in today's society, though, digital literacy is imperative.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's a need. And that is one of the areas, and across the nation, some states more progressive than other states, that I feel as though we are falling critically short.
Yeah, interesting. The Digital Equity Act was just passed and part of the infrastructure bill, and which went into law. And what's interesting about it, honestly, is the call out for those men and women that are justice impacted in corrections to really step up their game and really recognize how important it is behind the walls of our prisons and jails to start that digital literacy programming and then preparing them when they come home, and then helping them get access when they get home, because we know that digital literacy is two components. One is the education piece, and then the other is the access piece, broadband and that kind of stuff. So digital literacy, definitely important. One of the things that strikes me, and we also talked about this last night, was the reality that 1 in 3 black males across our country are going to find their way inside of our prisons or jails And traditionally, we know that men and women that are black and brown are adversely impacted by our justice systems. And I'm wondering, from your perch and what you're seeing, are we starting to, is there more of an equity? Are we taking steps towards a more equitable justice system? Are we getting there? I know there's so much more we have to do. Obviously, I don't think the pendulum has swung quite far enough, nor will it I believe, in our lifetime, although we can chip away at it. But I'm wondering what you're seeing from your end, and what can we be doing to sort of to kind of level the playing field a little bit more?
You know what, Jeff, that is really a hard question. As a mother of three boys, it is something that I think about oftenly, and I talk to my sons about how they are to operate in this world. Humanity, I think, is that missing piece a lot of times, and it is not something that is systemic all the way around. It's individual, right? And so I think more of getting out and sharing our stories, getting out and seeing how success can be won by changing lives, giving people opportunities. Each of us have a responsibility to communicate what we all can achieve as a united front. Each of us, I do believe, have a responsibility to look back and bring others along with us. In that manner, when all of us hold that as a sacred, responsible mission of our own, I think we can make changes. I do feel as though across the board and in corrections, there are changes in that regard. We're thinking about what the needs are for different people of different backgrounds inside of the institution, so that we're not just grouping everyone as one, but actually catering to and having respect for their diverse needs. So I do see some changes.
So I think there are. I think we're gradually moving in that direction or in the right way. So we've had our Safe Fellowship program through COABE has been it's been such an unbelievable blessing for COABE and for the country. Quite honestly, we have Safe Fellows across the country that are doing some great work in advocacy and really stepping up the voice of adult learners across the country. And I'm curious, from an advocacy perspective during Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, we often are challenged in education finding that voice as advocates at a local level, a state level, and even at a federal level a bit. But I'm curious, what advice would you have for the instructors that are out there, maybe that are in the correctional and reentry setting in particular, to how they could be advocates for the men and women, not only their colleagues that are doing the teaching and administrating, but also for their students behind the walls?
Yes, thank you. Such a great question. And you know what? First of all, I just have to say the Safe Fellows are just awesome, fantabulous. There's not a verb that I can use to describe how much they are doing to change and elevate adult education. So I kudos to all of you out there. But one of the things that I like to tell people, and I know some of us in corrections, we either work for state government or city government, and so we think that we cannot speak openly about what we think needs to be changed. And that is false. What we cannot do is speak openly on behalf of any entity that we are employed with. But when you're at the grocery store, when you're sitting in your church, your library, or anywhere that you're gathering with others, you can share the concerns of what the needs are, or how can you see positive growth. Also, as constituents of where you're located, everyone has the right to make appointments or to send letters or communicate with their elected officials about changes that are required. I mean, you cast your vote and they are there to represent you. So you have that ability. And then the one last thing I would say, Jeff, is to really link in with your state association. They are your biggest advocacy arm, right? And linking in with them and hearing and being able to express to them some of the things that you are witnessing and some of the ideas that you may have to be able to make those changes.
Yeah, that's one of the most underutilized tools in our country when it comes to advocacy and adult education is really going to your state association and taking part in it, becoming a leader, or just staying on the radar screen, seeing what's going on, following legislation so that you can understand a little bit better of the things that can do to change the needle or move the pendulum.
And you're right. And a lot of times we as teachers, we're in our classrooms, in our own little silos. And when we come together, we realize that my frustrations are your frustrations. And together, though, we can find solutions to kind of move that needle, as you said, and be able to make effective change for us all, our learners, and we as educators ourselves.
All right, so I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. Right behind me, you're going to see a whole bunch of posters or signboards. What I'd like you to do is, and I'll talk through this so you can go ahead and do this, I want you to find the one that touches you or strikes you the most. And I want you to pick it out and bring it out so we can show it to the audience while we're out there. So you can get up and go ahead, go pick your sign. COABE's prepared all these different wonderful signs that have adult education changes lives, and we have equity. We have a whole bunch of different ones up here, but we're going to see which one Shaketta goes for. And here she comes back. So I also should tell you, Shaketta's been a wonderful friend through, we've been together in COABE. We started pretty close together at the same time, and we were started on the Prison Literacy Committee several years ago when that got started, and she's been, she's awesome. All right, let's, so what'd you pick?
So I chose adult education moves people forward. And I like it. All of them have action verbs to them, right? But I really like that we're moving somewhere. We have a direction, and our direction is to go forward as one together. And I just always love about adult education and family literacy.
Yeah.
It's that family component. We're moving families, we're uniting families, and we're moving them forward to a better day, a better tomorrow, a better society. So that's what I like.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, Shaketta. That's just awesome. So for those people, and this this discussion was really centered around men and women that are in the correctional and reentry setting, I want you to know that it is very much about family. And I remember while I was away, I'd done some time away, that one of the things I did was I read a book inside, and my daughter was reading outside. And we were able to talk about it. And there's a book that just came out recently called Daddy's Time Out, and which explains a little bit about a father's journey through the prison system and how you explain it to your children when you're justice impacted. So there's some great tools out there and great things, but I do think that in the family and reentry setting in particular, family is so important. They're the ones that will push you forward, that will inspire you and keep you going. And I have to tell you, I've done a lot of work with our correctional educators across the country over the past few years, and a huge shout out to those men and women that are doing the work inside the walls and as they come home, because it's yeoman's work, and you often are working with men and women that are at different levels in their education in the classroom, and it's kind of hard. It's not like it's a grade 5 and everybody's at that same grade 5 level. Everybody's all over the place, and they're doing incredible work. Before we close, I just want to ask you, give us, our audience, something to really, an action that you'd like to see in adult education over the next week, something that's easy, an easy lift for them, something they can do to raise their voice.
Oh, well, one of the simplest things that anyone can do is to go to our Educate and Elevate website and use the 3 clicks. You can get on there, and it's such an easy tool to use where it reaches out to all of your elected officials all the way up the chain, and you'll be able to add your voice, your growing voice, to all of ours. Speaking of the different funding that we're needing across adult education nationwide, so that is something simple that everyone can do during Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. The other thing that I would ask that everyone can do is just share a book. Share a book with anyone, someone. You don't know how much of a difference that can make. You don't know that not everyone has the ability to go to a library. Not everyone has the ability to enjoy a good book. And not everyone has the ability to read. But by sharing your love of reading with someone else will make a difference. And Jeff, before I go, I just wanted to share one story.
Sure.
Of one of our justice involved who was released and joined our local PTA. She had little challenges with being able to join our local PTA because of her background, but her background didn't prohibit her from being on school grounds. And so at the time I allowed her joining, got a little pushback, but she was so impactful, Jeff. Excuse me, with our school dances, and I get a little choked up, but with our school dances and being able to mentor other students at the middle school was just invaluable. She changed so many. I got a call a couple of weeks on my voicemail. And unfortunately, she is now dying of cancer. And but she called to thank me for her ability and her opportunity to be able to be there and just be welcomed and embraced, knowing her background. And, she was a student in our correctional system, wasn't able to earn her GED, but she was able to improve her literacy skills. And from that, being a part of our educational system, she knew she wanted to be a part of the educational system and be a part of the schools that her nieces and nephews attended, so she can stress how important education is. And so we do make a valuable impact on the students that we serve, whether justice impacted or in our local programs. But one adult life changes so many lives around him. Jeff, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Shaketta, for being here. You've been a good friend to me over the past few years and helping me navigate my involvement in this space, and I appreciate it. And just a tremendous asset to COABE and the country in the work that you do.